The launch of World Liberty Financial was far from smooth. We saw a lot of dumping after the very low ICO price. People like Justin Sun, the founder of Tron, kept on selling. And then the team decided to just block and blacklist that wallet. Now, after this rather radical action, the price has somewhat stabilized. And the question is, does it now make sense to buy into the WLFI token? We're going to look at on-chain metrics as usual. We'll try to figure out where the price might be headed from here. So there had been various funding rounds, and the ICO was at 1.5 and at 5 cents. $550 million got raised, and Justin Sun was part of that funding round. But it's not just the ICO. We had various other strategic investments as well. And so the Trump family was not happy to see the price dumping after the official launch on various centralized exchanges. But now, in the last week, things are stabilizing. We are still rather on the lower end of that trading range. So is this potentially an opportunity? Because in the end, crypto is all about buying low and selling high. And obviously, we are currently not very high in World Liberty Financials. Now, here's the story as it unfolded. World Liberty Financial blacklists Justin Sun's address. And that, of course, begs the question, how decentralized is this DeFi project really when the funds simply get frozen? They still haven't been unlocked. In total, 272 wallets got blacklisted. But of course, Justin Sun's address is by far the largest, with more than 100 million worth of the WLFI token. All the other wallets are rather small in comparison. And so it looks like the token is now trading in a range, and we seem to be at the lower end of that range, and there is potential medium-term upside. This here is not the WLFI token itself. It's not just the price. It's its relation relative to the others market cap. Now, the others market cap measures all the altcoins that are not in the top 10. So this looks at outperformance or underperformance versus the rest of the smaller altcoin market. The trading range from bottom to top is an appreciation of 40%. Or another way to look at this, the drop from the top to the bottom is a decline of 25%. If the range holds, the potential risk to reward is very attractive. But why did World Liberty Financial drop in the first place? Why did we even see all of that sell pressure? Of course, the ICO investors tended to take profit, but there's also some long-term concerns. The question about the long-term viability of a project, especially in terms of price development, always boils down to the tokenomics. How will supply and demand develop over time? The intersection is, of course, where the price is. Now, the supply tends to increase for most cryptocurrency projects over time. And so far, only 25% of WLFI is actually circulating. The vast majority of tokens are still in the hands of the team, ready to be sold. And so when the supply can potentially 4x and the demand doesn't 4x during the same time period, that's of course very problematic. And here is where reputation comes into play. We have already seen the Trump Memecoin launch, and the Trump token, because of the tokenomics, tended to dump very consistently as well. It continues to go down. This is again not just the Trump price directly, this is Trump relative to the other altcoins. And yes, at the very beginning, if you bought in the first hours after launch, you did make money. But if you didn't do that, then you're simply underperforming. From the day close at the very beginning to today, we see an underperformance of 80%. And again, the reason for this is tokenomics. The number of circulating Trump tokens over time is expanding, and that's very bad for the long-term price development. Now, sometimes projects are able to turn the current momentum around by changing things radically. For example, the Pump.fun ecosystem also had a somewhat bumpy launch with the Pump token, but then implemented a buyback program where roughly 2 million worth of Pump get purchased every day. And so Pump is now back on its upward trajectory. Will the same happen for the Trump token? I doubt it. The Trump family now has its focus on World Liberty Financial, but they are trying. So there was a burn of 11 million worth of the token. This has been tweeted by Look on Chain, but unfortunately 11 million worth of the token isn't that much when we had an ICO worth 500 million. But again, there are a few moves here and there which show the intention that the team does want to stabilize the price, even if it's very radical measures that are potentially used like freezing Justin Sun's assets. There's more news. The treasury company that's supposed to buy WLFI over time, it doesn't have Eric Trump anymore on the board of directors because of conflict of interest, because that's against SEC rules. But besides that, we can expect that the Trump family will continue to support crypto because they are making money. They're in the end the first ones that own all the tokens. And it's not just token ownership. So the Trump family grew their wealth by 1.3 billion after the WLFI launch, but also after the ABTC merger. Series ABTC stock, this is where the Trump family got engaged. The price appreciated by more than 1,000%. ABTC stands for American BTC. It's a Bitcoin mining company that mines using renewable energy. The company used to be called Griffin Digital Mining. So that's the merger where the Trump family got involved. And so I expect that the support by the Trump family and by politics in general will continue for crypto. Maybe at some point the Democrats are looking at this as well and they think maybe this is an opportunity they don't want to miss out on either. So there's the real chance that this might not even become political debate anymore, that crypto will just get plain on supported by all parties. That would be of course great for crypto long term. But let's get back to World Liberty Financial. There are two blockchains where the token is mainly traded. We've got Solana with 27,000 holders and we've got Ethereum with 76,000 holders. On the left side here, we see the number of wallets that have at least 5,000 WLFI. So at the current price, it's roughly $1,000 worth of the token. In the middle, it's 50,000 tokens. So that's now $10,000 worth of the token. On the right, there's another 10x. So that's now $100,000 worth of the token. This is the numbers on the Solana chain. We can see how the number of small retail investors tends to grow over time. It kind of stopped on the 8th of September, but in general, this still looks healthy. The medium-sized investors with at least $10,000, they are growing more consistently. And of course, there's quite a bit of volatility because there's only 30 wallets on the Solana chain with at least $100,000 worth of the token. But there are more people on the Ethereum chain. Unfortunately, here we had the ICO launch. So there's a lot of withdrawals, a lot of movements to the centralized exchanges. So we can't really say what's happening here long term in terms of accumulation. But the vast majority of liquidity is definitely on Ethereum. So there's 482 whales here compared to just 31 whales on the Solana chain. Short term, the price discovery, of course, happens on the perpetual futures. This is where most trading volume takes place. In the last 24 hours, we only saw 60 million worth of trading volume on the spot market. But on the perpetual futures market, we saw 682 million worth of trading volume. So the levered bets on the price, the derivatives, this is really where price discovery happens. And then arbitrage bots just balances out with the spot market. And so most people are betting on rising prices of WLFI. The funding rate is positive. The open interest stays elevated. If this goes higher, then this would push up the price as well. If this declines, this would be bad for the price. Usually there is quite strong correlation between the two. We don't really see the correlation between the price and the open interest in this chart because it's very short in duration. The trading volume on the perpetual futures is coming down, so there's not too much active speculation around World Liberty Financial anymore. And so is also the liquidation volume. It's relatively balanced, it's relatively low. The price currently is at an equilibrium. And so this might be a real chance to potentially buy and then have a tight stop loss. In case things don't play out, there's always the easy decision to just exit. But in case things do play out, there is potential upside. And again, there could be positive news, like a new product launch that could cause that rally. The website already has this mentioned over here in products, how the WLFI app will launch soon, how the lend and borrowing platform will launch soon, how there will also be an exchange. And of course, the launch of those projects will lead to new attention and will lead to rising prices of WLFI. The simple question is just when will that happen? I think that World Liberty Financial is different to the Trump Memecoin. The Trump Memecoin was just launched to the public and is very inflationary. WLFI, on the other hand, is launched with a lot of other institutional investors as well. And probably the Trump family doesn't want to dump on those investors and break that connection instantly. And so those tokenomics can be seen somewhat positive, as in we don't really know what's going to happen with the supply. The supply will expand at some point, but this can be managed. It could be managed in a similar manner how Chainlink did it. As in, when the price is high, it might make sense to increase the dilution. But when the price is low, the supply just stays steady. There's more control by the team for how much the price is going down. This is very different to the Trump token, to the meme coin that continues to be inflationary and that continues to depress the price. If I had to make a bet, what kind of asset will perform better over the next 12 months? Will it be the Trump meme coin or will it be WLFI? I'd put my money on WLFI. This is really where the attention and the heart of the Trump family currently is. Now, there is somewhat of an argument to be made that altcoin season might be imminent. And so that's based on the others dominance chart. It shows how much of all of crypto in percent is currently in the altcoins that are not in the top 10. And this seems to bottom out at very similar levels, and it might have just bottomed recently. In the past, when we were at similar levels, the altcoins outperformed the rest of crypto by more than 300%. So I understand this argument, but there's a bit of a problem with the argument because the other dominance measures the market cap, but market cap is a very different thing to prices. There's a dedicated website called Tokenomics AI that does nothing but measure the token inflation of various altcoins. So let's have a look at Aptos, for example, here at number 1. This is the Aptos price relative to the altcoin market cap. Since March of 2023, this went down by 88%. And the reason is an ever-expanding token supply. As there's more and more tokens hitting the market and supply is higher than demand, then of course the price has to go down, at least relatively speaking. This is the Aptos market cap chart over time. It's at very similar levels compared to February of 2023 at roughly 3 billion, so barely a change. But in February of 2023, the Aptos price was at $18. And now it's at $4.39. So this is how much impact token inflation actually has. The others dominance does not look at prices. It only looks at market caps. But we do not get market cap returns. We get price returns. Market caps can be unchanged. Prices won't be unchanged if the supply just keeps on increasing. Now, how much of a problem is this really in the grand scheme of things? Is this just a few select altcoins, or do we see this on a broader scale? The answer is somewhat depressing. We unfortunately do see this on a broader scale. So each week we see roughly 1 billion worth of token unlocks. If we do not see at least 1 billion of additional demand coming into the altcoin market every single week, then the prices have to come down. The others dominance might be unchanged, but the price of individual altcoins definitely do get negatively impacted. Aptos is currently the 42nd largest cryptocurrency. It's just an example. Let's have a look at the top 100 cryptocurrencies. In the last year, Bitcoin went up by almost 100%. We've got 26 out of 100 altcoins that did better than Bitcoin. 73 altcoins did worse than BTC. And so here's what I personally do. I'm simply just betting on bad altcoins to continue to do worse. So we can just flip this chart around. This is the Bitcoin price relative to the Aptos price. At the bottom, we've got the others dominance again. So the others dominance did not change at all in the last 2 years, right? It went flat while Bitcoin's price relative to the Aptos price appreciated by 400%. So this is really where I believe the alpha in crypto is. It's the market inefficiency of highly inflating altcoins. I'm following this strategy already for roughly 4 years. So I'm betting on poorly performing altcoins. I'm betting on them to go down further while I'm betting on rising Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana. And because of that, I outperformed just dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin. Dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin is shown here as this light gray line. But I got the performance that's shown in the black line. So there is a way to beat the market without trying to find the few winners. We can simply bet on the market structure, on the constantly increasing token supply of many altcoins. It's maybe not as straightforward as just buying a single token. Some things have to be learned, but that's why I made dedicated videos on the topic. I try to make this as simple as possible, so there's really only 2 videos that have to get watched. The first video is using perpetual futures to bet on relative valuations. The second video is risk management with relative valuation bets. Once you've watched this 1 hour of content, you know exactly what to do to get this kind of performance, to set up positions like this. After you've watched those 2 videos and you've joined the community, I will send you my favorite trade that looks very similar to Bitcoin relative to Aptos. If with that trade you do not make money after 1 month of holding the position, then I will refund the membership fee to you. So those $125 are actually not what you're risking. If you don't make money with this favorite trade, you just get that money back. Just message me and I will refund you, no questions asked. Of course, besides this favorite trade, I will also share every single trade that I execute in real time as well. You can simply just copy trade me. A link to Premium will pop up directly on the screen over here. Just click on that. It will lead you to the website. If it's your very first time here, feel free to subscribe as well. I publish videos on YouTube regularly. See you next time on YouTube or see you in Premium. Cheers!